like to present to you with great pleasure Professor Bessie Dentrinos, who is going to talk to us about social meaning in global and global language proficiency exam systems. Professor Dentrinos works at the Department of Language and Linguistics of the Faculty of English Studies, and she is director of the Research Center for English Language Teaching, Testing and Assessment at the University of Athens. She is involved in social accountable applied linguistics. She has been investigating the social implications of mainstream discourses of foreign language didactics since 1992. She is a key figure in the development of the national foreign language exams for the certification of language competence in Greece, and is currently heading a large-scale European-funded project in support of the locally controlled foreign language exams. Also, she is heading a project leading to foreign language educational reform in Greek schools. Her publications appear in English, Greek, Portuguese, and Spanish. So I welcome her and looking forward to hearing her.
Καλησπέρα. Bonjour. Good morning. Good morning. Bom dia. If I can, I'm not so used to sitting down, but the way that this is organized, I will need to be near my laptop in order to change. I think that everyone can hear me, right? Okay. The title of my talk has already been announced. I want to say, just before I start, that it is with both grief and pleasure that I find myself in Cyprus for this occasion. The last time that I was in Cyprus was to be on the committee of Pavlos Pavlou for his selection from the department. And I do feel the grief and the joy, as many people said, to see Pavlos' work and aspirations continuing on this site. When I was thinking of how to start this presentation, I decided to put a thought that was being shaped in my mind, to put it down. Okay, and now I shall start by saying what the aim of this paper is. First of all, I would like to say that it views language exam suits within a broad political perspective as ideological apparatuses involving processes which produce, reproduce, or resist mainstream life, world, and educational practices. I would like to stress that the kind of suits that I am concerned with are not those which are suits prepared, and very rarely are there suits prepared for language testing in school, okay? But the language examinations for proficiency, to measure proficiency levels, competence levels for certification for the job market. I wanted to make these two things totally clear because I feel that testing within education, whether it's achievement testing, proficiency testing, process testing, or whatever else, are totally different stories. Okay. They are basically involved in different power relations and educational paradigms and so on and so forth. So here I'm only concerned with with international exams, basically for proficiency levels and so on. The claim made is that international language testing, and specifically, as I said, exam suits for the certification of language competence, are monolingual, monocultural enterprises interested in symbolic and material profit. It is something also that Elana said yesterday, even though I would disagree with her that constructions such as CEF are monolingual or monocultural in themselves. It is how they are treated by the systems that make them such. A case is made for global language testing systems, and this is, I'm going to be presenting the pros and cons of both. First, the notion of globalization, it's already been mentioned. A global structure is something which is, and here it is defined as a scheme informed by the practices of others around the globe, but actually shaped by local social conditions. The purpose of localized operations is to serve local and social needs and aspirations. And that's how it ties in with the first slide that you saw. Seeing it within a much broader political perspective, as we should be seeing any kind of social practice. International language testing and material profit, in my view. It is a successful industry which has grown immensely in the last 50 years and is now controlled, like most successful industries, because it is, because it's missing here, into the hands of international conglomerates. It has led to the commodification of language testing and the fast growth of language teaching business, producing commodities such as training courses, textbook sets, teaching paraphernalia, multimedia, and so on and so forth. I'm not passing judgment on these. I'm saying that this is the reality, and it is all part of our growth economy in which we are all involved. There's symbolic profit because international language testing has vested interest in sustaining constructs such as languages are owned by their native speakers. I want to remind the audience that ICLTA, for example, allows its members, as long as they are, they're testing, they have an examination system which is in their own language, unlike ICLTA, for example. Language is an abstract meaning system which can be learned and used irrespective of its contextual use. This is another construct that has been reiterated, and there is interest in sustaining that merely because of the symbolic profit, in the sense that there's a lot to be gained by making, by legitimating your language, selling it, and therefore all of the products. Let's not forget that in the big languages especially, a lot of money is made by the testing and teaching industries as such. Language tests are monolingual, and they are so because if they involve more than one language, they cannot be international. I mean, they would have to be localized, and that would involve quite a bit of cost. And language tests are culture, value, and ideology free. That is another construct in which there is interest in sustaining. However, tests are not ideologically free or value free. Exams, I mean, I was very, very surprised with a little item that Jan presented to us this morning about who's the President of the United States. I don't know if it was actually on the test. Okay. I like the Bushman, by the way. But indeed, it's very, very interesting to look at the actual materials in tests because they are ideological apparatuses involving processes of ideologization. Texts and images used in tests carry ideological meanings which until recently were systematically, they're not should be there, investigated. One of my PhD students were working very closely, and we've done some very interesting work in analyzing through systemic functional grammar the ideological representations of the world in 3 different examination systems. It's the 3 systems are, and she's finishing now. She's doing analysis of text used to test reading comprehension performance in 3 different examination batteries. 1 local, which are the KPG exams, the National Foreign Language Exams of Greece. The other 2 are the, I'll call them the Michigan exams, the ECCE, and the Cambridge exam, the Cambridge ESOL exams. And it's extremely interesting because through very detailed lexicogrammatical analysis, which it did on a large corpus of text, it systematically revealed the totally different world representations of each system. And the PhD research has just been completed by Amalia Balourdi in the Faculty of English Studies, University of Athens. Now, the world construed by what I call CESOL is Cambridge ESOL texts. The reading comprehension texts, interestingly, and this was surprising to me, construe an introspective world. Actants in test texts often examine and report their inner thoughts, feelings, and desires, exchange feelings and ideas rather than material goods. Texts are inhabited by British subjects who go through interesting and intense experiences, having thus the opportunity to live as unique individuals and to advance their social and professional status. The Cambridge ESOL world is inhabited by Brits, as I said before, who are concerned in the personal, who travel and work in challenging jobs. Values of fame and success closely associated with personal achievement and creativity dominate the texts. And texts minimize the distance between reader and writer, the writer of the particular text and items, and the reader who is in the position of test taker, candidate. The world construed now by Michigan texts. Texts in the Michigan exams are inhabited by Americans, involved in organized leisure time activities which combine entertainment with the exploration of the history and culture of their own country, including the classical American values put forth by American old stars and performers. The Michigan world is particularly concerned with scientific research and development, as the non-human actants are mainly from the category of science and technology, and the relatively limited use of verbal processes basically serves the expression of scientific opinions, thus construing scientists as the most prominent sayers. The most prominent feature, however, in the Michigan texts is the market orientation, with the implied reader often positioned as potential consumer. And there is a kind of an unequal relationship between reader and writer, which is different from what we will see